Coming up, a Sad Styles production. Get into it!
Meow, D-pads. This week, you are a cat as we take to the mean...
I'm a cat?
Andrew, no. You are a human
did this already.
being.
I'm a cat?
We are both cats, but not real human cats.
Meow.
Wait a second.
Oh my God. Meow.
Oh, meow god. Oh, meow god.
No.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
It's happening again.
Yeah?
Is this why I had so much trouble finishing the games? I couldn't hold the controller with my little paws.
You don't have paws, you have hands. Oh no. Oh no.
Those are paws. It's just, all I could hit on the controller was the pause button. I felt like I was struggling to make
paws.
it. Oh,
we are cats,
Christ.
meow.
Andrew, you got to be honest with me. Did you beat this game or did you just keep playing with balls of yarn?
Oh my God, it was yarn.
Oh, it was yarn.
Oh,
okay,
it was
I want to play with that yarn.
Yeah. Let me go find that yarn.
Go find that yarn. I will introduce us to this week's game. It's 2022's BlueTwelve software game Stray on the PS5 this week on the Retrograde podcast.
Welcome to the Retrograde
podcast where we remind you what you used to love and whether or not you still meow.
My name's Andrew Bascom, and with me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, the cat boy of podcasting indeed.
Meowkey Aaronworth.
Oh,
why all the silliness up top?
Oh my God, it's because we're talking about Stray, Mikey.
It's because we're talking about Stray. Also,
Meowkey Aaronworth.
It's amazing. It's like how when you have to tell someone your password, which you should never do.
Why would you be doing this?
If you ever have to say your password out loud,
yes,
or like write it down or something,
yes,
it's so much harder than just typing it on a keyboard because you realize you don't actually know the password and the characters as well as you know the motion of your hands.
Right.
So when something in our introduction gets messed up in terms of like a misstep or a changed word, everything is thrown out the window. I'm questioning everything.
Yeah.
Why did I wake up this morning is my main concern.
If he doesn't say Mr. Bebop himself, why do I even do this at all?
Mike Meowkey Aaronworth. See, you just said it. Now I know how to lead into it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. See,
but even me messing myself up by
this
saying...
is a Manchurian Candidate type thing where if I...
Socks. Yellow
September.
3.
Liver. What? I got to go kill Queen Elizabeth. I'll be right back. She's already dead. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
She's been dead for months.
How long is that going to take you, by the way?
Oh, God. It wouldn't take me. Like, I would just...
I can vamp for a little bit.
Honestly, behind a shower curtain, I would just have to go... And then dead. Dead as a doornail. So dead.
We're losing our UK listeners, which are surprisingly strong. So
yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Depends on where in the UK, but yes, I agree.
That's true.
Yeah.
It depends on where in the UK. Also, strangely, as I don't know if you saw this, Andrew, but as of last week, on the iTunes charts,
okay,
we hit in video games in the category of video games, top 5.
Top 5. We were top 5 in the video games category.
Philippines.
In the what now? So you said something after.
Yeah, we were top 5 in video games.
Perfect. See?
In the Philippines.
So you keep saying something just when I talk, so I can't hear you.
Yeah.
We were top 5 in video games.
So if you stop talking right now.
Yeah.
Stop talking. We made the iTunes top 5 video game podcast chart, Andrew. Congratulations.
Okay, great. Awesome. Oh, you did it again. That's really driving me crazy because now I don't understand what you're saying. We made the top 5.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
In video games.
The Philippines. In the Philippines.
In the Philippines.
Oh, yeah. Oh, did you not hear that
part?
No,
I didn't hear that part.
So thanks to all of our loyal listeners.
To our new Filipino listeners. We love every single one of you. This is exclusively a podcast for the Philippines at this point.
Why not?
The 2 people who are really popular, it turns out. The UK, but that's going to diminish soon after my Queenslander, and then now the Philippines. So that's great.
I've always said this, and I've traveled to a lot of places in the world, and I've always said this. No matter where I go, people are always like, everywhere I go, people are like, Mikey, what do you think? And that's weird to me. But everywhere I go, people always ask me my thoughts on where I'm visiting. And now I've never visited the Philippines. But when I do visit other places, they say, Mikey, what do you think about the Philippines?
Yeah.
And I say, they need 2 white dudes podcasting about video games.
Yeah.
That's the market that hasn't been cornered there.
I would say there is probably a gap in that market there.
That's true.
You know, I do
not anymore though.
No. Andrew and Mikey have moved right in. Number 1. We should. How much is a billboard in Philippines? We should find out.
That's a good question.
And rent out just you and I back to back, like we're real estate agents or something like that. Like number 1.
Next week's guest, actually, we should announce it here. Manny Pacquiao is coming on.
In which we can give no slander to, otherwise we will lose every single listener that we just acquired in the Philippines.
But to be fair, I love Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, a lot of him.
A lot of him.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff. Isn't he like
his karaoke?
Yes, his karaoke
I've
career.
heard he also boxes.
No. Yeah, he's been moderately successful doing that. He's
yeah.
retired now, so don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah.
Isn't he also like a member of parliament or something like that?
Yeah, I think he's a prime minister. Or, no, that can't be true.
No,
but
that
he's
cannot be
he's like a high-ranking member of parliament
there you
in
go.
the Philippines. which
See, this
kinda
is how
crazy.
much we're now just using all of our knowledge in the Philippines right now.
All of our knowledge in the Philippines, and we have a ton of knowledge about the video game Stray.
Yes.
2022 video game Stray came out on the PS5, PS4, and Windows. We're going to be doing a full spoiler cat on this episode. The puns are going to be flowing.
Oh boy, are
like
now he's-
yarn
Tell a yarn
at
or
a kiddie party.
Okay.
And normally, I know, Andrew, you're not invited to kiddie parties. You're not allowed there. You have to announce yourself before you get to
thanks.
kiddie
Yeah,
parties.
okay.
But this is not the type of kiddie party I'm talking about.
Okay. What are you're talking about? Cats.
Kittens.
Kittens. Yes.
Kitten party.
Yes. It'll be flowing like saucers of milk.
Oh, that's well done.
Thank you very much.
By the way,
Saucers.
saucers for sure.
Yeah.
Very shallow.
Very shallow. Not bowls.
Not bowls.
No.
Saucers.
Saucers.
Which the cat's got to be like, stop being so fucking cheap. Splurge a little bit. Give me a gravy train.
I always assume it's a saucer because like under the cup, right? So you put a cup on a saucer.
Right.
So maybe you've like spilt a little bit of milk and you're like, cat, clean it
And
up.
you're like, rather than crying over this, I'm just going to give it to a stray cat.
100%.
And then it comes out that milk is really bad for cats.
Right.
We've been poisoning them.
Well,
Probably
I don't know,
poisoning
but this is
ourselves,
this is like everything that comes out every once in a while. You're like, this is really bad for you. I'm like, I don't know. My grandmother lived to like 95 and she was doing this every day. So
Right, but she was miserable.
Was she?
Well, she always told me about how much she hated her grandchildren. I don't know if that had anything to do with
She
it.
had a lot of them and they were all delinquents. We were all pretty stupid. So that makes a lot of sense.
Before we get into this week's game Stray, let's talk a little bit about video games in general, generic video games. I know we've been spending a large chunk of the last week wrapping up Stray, peeking into all the nooks and crannies. What about Madden 23? Last week we talked about John Madden football because the release of Madden 23 was coming out. You had it pre-ordered. Have you had any chances to explore it yet, or have you been Stray focused?
So I've been Stray focused, which is kind of ironic. And but is that no? So when we talked on the podcast, I'm like, I've pre-ordered it. I am like a corporate slave. What are you gonna do? But at least I get to play it early. Mikey, I don't get to play it early. I bought the generic standard edition, and you have to buy the like $110 edition in Canada to get pre-order. So mine, as of recording, I can play in 24 hours.
Oh, that sucks.
You know, I will say though, there was something today where I turned on my PlayStation after finishing Stray, and I was kind of like, oh, just kind of sorting through things, deleting it, and I saw John Madden's face pop up, and it's like 23 days. He's like, I'm so sorry, it was gonna be great, and I'm like, this is something very relaxing and like nostalgic and reassuring about his weird large face.
It's a large ass. What do you
It's a
think is
large
bigger,
face.
John Madden's face or a football with John Madden's face painted on it?
His
To scale.
Well, then, trick question. They're the exact same.
Andrew, this is why
Yeah.
I love to have you as a co-host.
Thank you very much.
Nothing gets by you.
And this is the stuff.
Much like the defense coach by John Madden.
And this is the kind of stuff that the Philippines truly loves.
They love John Madden jokes.
This banter that just snaps, crackles, and pops, baby.
Could you imagine? Do you think we're being shared there as like a joke? For like people just like, look how dumb Americans are, even though we're Canadian.
Yeah, but they can't tell the difference, honestly.
That's true.
The number of times that we travel anywhere and people are like, Americans, you're like, sure. Sure,
Why not?
What am I going to do?
It depends. Am I drunk? Am I making a fool of myself? If so, Americans may not realize this. If we've just fucked up and someone asks us where we're from, we say America.
Chicago. Sorry.
Philadelphia with our friends from What the Famicom podcast.
Yeah, if I'm like really drunk, like stupid Americans, I'm like, yeah, what are we going to do? Can't change those stripes because the colors don't run.
No, I'm not going to get into that.
Okay,
Never mind.
good.
Nope.
That's probably for the best.
Leave it for a different podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so I was John Madden, I haven't played yet. And unfortunately, I've just gone back and played the generic stuff I've been playing usually, but I'm getting closer and closer on Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, nice.
So that's going to happen soon. So that's really exciting. And then, just normal stuff. There's this cool Dragon Ball Z thing happening in Fortnite right now.
Yes, I saw that. Everyone's LeBron James is Kamehamehaing all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
I'm currently Captain America, and I'm doing a bunch of weird stuff that Captain America probably as a character would not approve of.
Such as?
The gritty.
Oh, the gritty. Doing the gritty?
Doing the gritty. Yeah, that's great. Everyone loves a gritty. That's been taking up my time. But now I've finished Stray. I'm going to move right into Madden time, and I will be a happy little boy.
That's amazing. I've moved from. I finished Stray. I've been checking in with Elden Ring from time to time.
So you're not going to finish that, eh?
I am going to finish it. It's just going to take me a very long time. And I'm actually going to talk about one of the things I realized about my time with Elden Ring when we talk about Stray and how much of a breath of fresh air Stray was in some ways.
Yeah.
When it comes to playing Elden Ring instead. But I moved to a game called Cult of the Lamb. Cult of the Lamb, I got it on my Steam Deck. It was published by Devolver Digital, a game that is a roguelite, city building, relationship sim, farming sim.
What the?
Survival game. It kind of checks a ton of different boxes, and it's quirky as fuck.
Okay.
Just kind of like base level of the story. You're a lamb. You're sacrificed.
You're actually a lamb?
Yeah, you are. I'm a lamb. No, not again. No. I'm a cat. I'm a cat.
Oh, you're a cat. I'm a lamb. Okay. Am I Sherry Lewis? Okay, yes.
Sherry Lewis. Oh, nice.
Lamb chop.
Didn't she die of cancer?
Yeah, Mikey. She died like 25 years ago.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure. She's still dead.
This should be
because I walked by her grave and that bell was ringing. That bell in her casket was still ringing.
Didn't she die of cancer?
By the way, a friend of ours who listened to the podcast wrote in and said that
Are they from the Philippines?
They're from the Philippines.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yep. They wrote in and said the reason why the bells were removed from caskets is because they'd be, I don't know, they like tie like dead people are going fishing for trout or something and taking a nap. They tie like a fishing line to their toe. So they'd have the thing tied to their toe and the bells would ring because the bodies were shrinking and shriveling and then the things were falling off and then so they're just like digging up dead bodies.
Yeah, like this guy's crazy dead.
He's so dead.
It's not like he just recently died.
No, he's been dead a while.
Oh my God. Well, that would be terrifying. The bells going off.
Yes.
You know what would be more terrifying than one bell going off? A couple. Like,
it's happening
the
again.
The coroner got into the cough syrup.
I thought a good idea for a sitcom would be a sitcom called Just Around the Corner.
Yeah, I like this.
And
Go ahead.
It's a coroner who lives just like a block away from his work.
Yeah.
And he just walks around the corner to go to work and he just struggles to find a work-life balance.
Pushing Daisies or 6 Feet Under?
It's a comedy.
It's a comedy. Pushing Daisies.
Yeah. Pushing Daisies. Yeah.
The Leap Haste vehicle we all wanted. That's that guy.
Leap Haste.
They introduced Leap Haste to all of us.
Who is Leap Haste?
Okay. Leap Haste was
the number of times you just have a resounding like, fuck, I guess we're getting
why
into
did it
like a jogger in a cemetery.
He was the villain in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Oh, okay.
He's about 6'6". He's in. He's very tall.
Yes.
He was in *Halt to Catch Fire*, one of my favorite TV shows of the last 20 years.
Okay, I know.
Okay,
There we go.
Very good.
About. Yeah.
All right. He's in the new Bodies that everyone's talking about.
I haven't
that
seen
just
that.
came out last weekend.
I'll watch that.
Okay, there we go.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I just set up your weekend for you. You're welcome.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yep.
Sorry to my girlfriend. Can't hang out anymore. Watching
couldn't
Bodies. I won't let her watch TV with me.
No.
I don't let her watch TV. Yes. I explain to her what I've seen, and I have her tell me whether or not she would be interested in watching it.
You baby bird television to her.
Yes.
You consume it in your mouth and then spit it back at her.
All of the food I've consumed while watching the television, I vomited in her mouth while explaining what I saw.
You guys have a very special relationship. Unique.
Andrew, boy, is it.
You know, speaking of Cult of the Lamb, this feels very like Cult of the Lamb kind of thing, like very cultish. So you're actually a lamb in this game?
You are actually a lamb in this game. And you were basically sacrificed by some old gods that are saying if they can get rid of the last lamb, essentially. That's the part of the crux of the story. If they kill the last lamb, they will prevent the strongest of the old gods from being resurrected. Well, the strongest of the old god gets their hands on you and brings you back to life and sends you on a mission to start a cult and take down the old gods. So what that means is you enter, it's kind of like Stardew Valley.
Oh.
If every time you left your farm, you did a bit of dungeon crawling. So you go in and you do a run.
Which is a part of Stardew Valley.
It is very similar.
Yep.
So when you go to do the mining in the caves, it's kind of like that, but more enemies, the combat is much better. And each of those runs is about, and this is what I really like about it, is about 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh, cool.
Now, in a lot of roguelikes, I'm thinking like Hades, Rogue Legacy 2, every run that you do is usually ends up being, once you get decent at the game, like 30 to 40, maybe even longer, especially in Hades. Those runs would get really long. The fact that it's only 10 to 15 minutes means, sure, spend your time there, get your resources, progress the story, but then you get to come back to the city building element and the farming and talking to all your new cult followers that you, like if you beat a boss, you can convert one of the person who is behind the boss and turn them into a follower, but you have to maintain your followers by giving them gifts, by talking to them, doing tasks for them. You can assign them tasks, but you can also clean up the farm yourself and plant things and unlock new buildings, which increase worship, would increase. So I've been spending a lot more of my time building out the city and talking to my followers, because what I realize is, like, you know, in like any adventure game you play, there's this feeling of like the overworld, dungeons, and towns. So like you leave your town, which is your safe space. You go to like all the liberals just fucking staying in there.
Then it's Snowflake Village.
Snowflake Village, baby. You go to the overworld, you go to a dungeon, and that's where it's hard. But then you get to come back and reap the benefits of all the hard work that you did in the cave. That feeling of returning to town is always my favorite moment in any video game. Now, it wouldn't be good if there weren't any trials and tribulations, but the fact that they've put the balance much more on the city itself and reaping the benefits, and then the dungeon crawling is almost a footnote to the townskeeping, is great to me. I didn't realize, but I really liked that in a game. I wanted the balance to be more geared towards the fruits of your labor than the labor itself, and that's kind of what I'm experiencing.
Than the labor of your fruits,
and the labor of my fruits.
You like the fruits of your labor, not the labor of your fruits.
That's true.
Yes,
that's exactly what I said.
Thank you.
So
no, I just shortened it.
No, I get that.
Okay,
I expanded it to make my language more flowery, so that people could really enjoy what I was trying to say.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I didn't know they were.
Want me to? Oh, you didn't know they were enjoying?
No, I didn't know they were enjoying it. So sorry.
Oh, that's because you don't speak Filipino.
I'd love to hear you give it a shot. Mikey, please don't. Mikey, please don't. Mikey, please don't. I was joking.
Okay.
His mouth opened. I just want to let that be.
I will keep
for the record.
Progress. I did, yeah. I will keep my progress updated as we go, because I'm really liking this game. It's about a 12-hour game or so. So maybe I'll finish it. Maybe I won't.
Is it 12 hours?
It's about 12 hours.
Honestly, that sounds like a lot of fun. That sounds like a game I would like.
12 hours is great. No, honestly, it feels like you might, because you did like Stardew Valley as well.
Loved Stardew. I put so many hours in Stardew Valley.
So imagine Stardew Valley with better combat and better interactive elements with the townsfolk.
God, is it focused on me getting in a relationship? This is like Stardew Valley was like dealing with my mother. It was like, are you gonna get married yet? Are you gonna get married yet? And you're like, holy shit, Stardew Valley, get off my back.
No, this is more people love you, which is way more up my alley.
You do have a god complex, so this does work out.
It's
for you.
not a complex, Andrew.
It's a mission.
No, it's just a fact. I've given myself a
mission from God. Yeah.
Some things though before I move on that I really like about it. When it comes to like cleaning up the town, like you chop down trees, you can mine rock, you can shovel shit, literally shovel shit to clean things up. Everything is just press A.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You don't have to you don't have to take out a pickaxe, you don't have to take out a shovel, you don't have to, it just press A to do is great. Red Dead, take note.
Oh, for how catching strays. Just a drive-by on Red Dead. What are you playing it on right now?
I'm playing it on my Steam Deck, which is it's perfect for that. It's absolutely perfect for the Steam Deck.
How's the Steam Deck doing for you?
I love it. But holy shit, the batteries are so bad.
You know what's so funny? Before anything, like I stare at that thing and I'm like, well, you look like a Game Gear. So
that's what it is.
This better not be a battery issue.
I thought that my charger was broken because I get like 45 minutes of game time before my battery was done. I'm like, it's just not charging fully. And then I realized it is. It's just that the game eats up so much battery. Granted, like how often are you actually playing portably without access to a plug these days? It's a little bit more.
Isn't that the hope? Like, isn't that one of the selling parts? Like,
it is, but I think portability in gaming has changed. The concept has changed. It's not just car rides, and even if it is a car ride, most cars now have plugs that you can use. I think it's more like the ability to bring gaming with you wherever you go. So like I will hunker down at my cottage and play this rather than bringing my PS5 to my cottage because I don't even have a TV there.
Yeah.
I would just bring my Steam Deck and I can game there without having to think about bringing up a TV and a PS5 and the controllers and. It just makes traveling easier. That's what portability in gaming now means to me. The number of times I'm playing it during a commute, granted I don't commute to work, so that's a big element of it. But I feel like I'm okay with the battery life not being as good because I'm really not finding myself in a situation where I need to spend an hour away from a plug at many given points in time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I get that. That's fair. That's actually like, there's this weird, I'm not a sycophantic like Apple fan like a lot of people are, where they're just like, you are, you only have one brand and you're like, that's my brand and I will defend it to my death. You and I talk about this all the time on the podcast. I just never understand people like, I'm an Xbox person.
No,
I'll kill anyone else.
I'm a fan of good products.
Exactly. But
Which is why I'm an Xbox person.
So they were talking about now they're switching the charger again on the iPhone and everyone's like, what the fuck? I got to do things. And then I got my hands on like one of the newer chargers and it charged my phone in like 12 minutes. And I'm like, okay, shit.
Oh, hell yeah.
Fuck. Okay. Well, guess what? Yeah, we'll get 5 new chargers. Okay, that's fine. You know what I mean?
Well, I think one of the issues, especially with the iPhone and iPads in the past, was that every time they changed the charger, all of your accessories had to change.
Yes.
Now it's a little different with Bluetooth.
I know. Yeah, you don't have a port that you need to change.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Sorry. So I don't know how I got on this. Sorry about that.
Well, no. Steam Deck batteries.
Yes, I guess so.
It's all related.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for some more conversation on Cult of the Lamb. I will say the reviews of this game are not outrageous. But if what I'm
outrageously good.
Outrageously good. They're good. They're good, but they're not like 90 average or something.
Sure.
It's probably hovering low 80s or something like that. But if what I'm saying speaks to you about the town building element, the variety of gameplay, and a little bit more of a casual roguelike that isn't focused on difficulty as much as it is on just the experience of doing new things and randomized things every time you enter the dungeons, give it a shot because you'll probably like it more than the median of what the reviews are these days. Yeah, or the mean.
I think I'm going to try it. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Also, if you do, maybe you will do next month like we did with this one where we're doing a spoiler cast of Stray. Maybe we can do Cult of the Lamb in a little bit.
Which I think I want to talk about at the end of the episode because some of these new games are very interesting.
Some of these new games, gaming is pretty interesting to me too, Andrew.
I've started thinking about how this old game stuff, what are we doing?
What are we doing with retro games? Hey, you know what we should review?
What's that?
The Ford Model T.
Oh my goodness. This week on Motoring or whatever it is, like some car show or something like that. It's like the Model T. Actually, no,
the Toyota Celica from 1993. Like
a Skylark or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what? Does sound pretty interesting. I'd love for someone to drive one around and like look at the interior if no one had ever touched it and be like, ooh, interesting.
I believe it's called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, Andrew.
It means visiting Jay Leno's garage.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Just opening up like, this is a fire truck from the 1930s. You're like, oh, cool.
Yeah. No, we will talk about that at the end of the episode because we have some thoughts on some ways to modernize the podcast a little bit. But before we do that, let's modernize today's topic and bump ourselves up to talking about Stray. Andrew, are you ready to do it?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about our little feral cat.
Our
as
little feral
goes on
cat.
an adventure.
Did you name your cat, by the way?
No, what? Name my cat?
Yeah.
How so?
I don't know, just like pretend you're named something.
So that requires me to talk out loud to the video game.
Well, or just in your head. Like
in my head?
Yeah, just
okay. So what was it? Buttons? Mittens?
No, it was Feral Cat.
You named your cat Feral Cat?
Yeah, but at least it had a name, Andrew.
Will Feral Cat?
Yeah, I slapped the shit out of that thing. Oh no, Will Ferrell. That's another Will.
Yeah, Will Feral Cat.
Will Feral Cat.
No, I did not name my cat. I don't know. Well, Mikey, I'll let you get into it and then I'll get into my thoughts on this.
So right now what we're going to do is typically, like usually what we do on the podcast, we'll go into a whole breakdown of the game and talk about the development and all that stuff. And we're going to do that right now, but we are going to be spoiling the shit out of this game.
Yes.
Right? Before we do that though, it's going to be more talking top down development, storyline, all that stuff. But not as many spoilers. When we're about to get into the spoilers, we will tell you. So you can listen along a little bit, maybe gauge your interest in Stray. But if you're a fan of this podcast and you're sitting there, you're like, what the frickin' heck is going on right now?
Well,
where are the retro games? Because I don't know if you know this, Andrew. Our listeners might, but typically what we do on the podcast is we take a look back at the games that we used to play when we were kids. Usually it's something we had an affinity towards one way or another. We rate and review the games as we remember them back when we used to play them. And then we actually play the games and then come back and rate and review the games out of 4 bits in the modern day against like some modern day games. But we can't do that this week because it is a modern game that we're playing.
You know who knew that more than me?
Who?
The people in the Philippines.
The people in the Philippines.
They knew that, and they are disappointed.
That is, I don't know. Have you ever seen the flag of the Philippines?
I probably have in my life, but I could not tell you what it looks like.
It's. I'm going to say this, and you're going to think they're surrendering. They're not. It's just a blank white flag.
Whoa.
They're not surrendering.
Okay.
What they're doing is paying homage because if you look closely, there's text on it.
Oh, there is.
And that text says, Typically, what we do in this podcast is take it's usually
That's their national anthem. You don't know this. Yes. Hands over their hearts.
and they say it in English too.
Yeah, this is only helping your God complex. They're saying my words back to me.
It's not hurting, that's for sure. So this game was developed by BlueTwelve Studio, published by Annapurna, which is fitting because purr is in the word of Annapurna.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Came out July 19th, 2022, began production in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, under the name, it was HK Project was the name that they were doing. BlueTwelve is from Montpellier, France.
Oh, nice.
Also around Montpellier is a branch of Ubisoft.
Okay.
Two people left Ubisoft, Colas Kula and Vivien Mermet Goyene. And they founded B12 after leaving that. And if B12 sounds familiar to you, B12 being BlueTwelve Studio,
Yep.
it's because the name of the robot in the game is B12.
Oh, wow. I didn't even put that together.
Right? Pretty cool.
Okay, yeah. Wow.
Also, the name of the vitamin, I stab in my butt when I don't get the
You
soda.
got to put in your butt. I love that that's always
I put all my vitamins in my butt.
Yeah, I know. That's exclusively my my vitamin taker. My big rump. Actually, sorry. And we've made it very canon on this podcast. We have skinny little butts on this podcast.
We have skinny little
We
butts.
have two boys with skinny little butts.
Barely any room for those B12
No.
tablets that I want to shove up there. So this is the first game, as far as I can tell, that they put the production in, but it's been going on since, like I said, 2015. It was originally supposed to come out, I believe, in 2020, it was announced in 2020, originally scheduled for 2021, got delayed till 2022, like most games around this time.
Yeah.
The game's design, this was fascinating to me. It was actually based around, I'm not sure if you know about this place, called Kowloon Walled City in China. Have you ever heard about this?
Oh, the walled city?
Yes.
Yes, I have heard about this.
I had never heard about this before,
Yeah.
but it's fascinating. It's basically, it was in China. It was originally a military fort and became kind of an ungoverned city.
Yes.
That covered about 6.4 acres and eventually got populated by a number of around 50,000 people living in there. So it is just like cities and villas and like what would be the equivalent of a Brazilian favela or something like that, stacked on top of one another.
An Edith Finch situation.
An Edith Finch, very much an
Yes.
Edith Finch situation. But it was kind of, I say it was ungoverned. It was sort of ruled by the triads. So there was a lot of crime there, a lot of drugs there. But aesthetically speaking, it very much mimics the Walled City 99 that we spend a lot of time with in Stray, moving around as a cat. The developers and designers of it kind of thought that this would be a good aesthetic playground for a cat, because like what better way, tightly packed streets.
Yeah.
Small air conditioning units that allow you to platform up to different spaces. And so that was really neat. And if you look at, you should Google this. It's Kowloon, Kowloon, Walled City. If you want to see what we're talking about, it's pretty fascinating.
Cool.
Now, I think, as is always the case, they've turned it into like a fucking theme park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just Airbnbs and
Exactly. Yeah.
Probably Toby Keith, I Love This Bar and Grill, and you're all set.
So the story is pretty straightforward without getting into spoilers yet. You're running around with your furry friends. This is how it starts. You are just a cat. As a cat, no dialogue. That's the cold open of this game.
Yes.
You fall into a gutter and you find yourself down at the Walled City 99. And you start in this village and you start to realize that while you may have started in sunlight and greenery and green spaces, there's a whole realm of not quite humans, but robots who live there in squalor, and you try to figure your way out of that city to meet up with your friends and to maybe save the day along the way. If you can, Andrew, do you have time to save the day today?
Save the day, make some friends. It's the story of the littlest hobo, really, in a lot of ways.
It is. Not Homeward Bound.
Not home. Well, it is. Well,
Nope. Because there's no dogs in it. That's
There's
the
no
point.
dogs.
What is Homeward Bound about, Andrew?
Two dogs and a cat? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, I think so.
2 dogs and a cat? 3 dogs and a cat?
Two girls, a guy, and a
In
pizza
this
place.
economy? How many dogs and a cat can you have?
Ugh, too many.
Too many.
How much kibble can one person afford?
In Homeward Bound, you didn't see the parents have that story before. It's like, God, I hope one of these dogs goes missing today.
But
Can't keep feeding it.
All 3 of them?
All 3? No, that's too many.
That's too many.
Oh, okay, good. Only a couple of them returned. Spoiler for Homer Bound. Still a movie that will make me cry. Also, the music at the end. Oh my God, that movie just kills me.
I don't even think I remember the music specifically.
The music, I bet you actually do know it. You'd be able to pick it up. And
Is
go
it?
No, that's Jurassic Park.
Oh. Wait. What do dogs look like?
Dogs look like they got ears. Like a
Okay,
little
so
snout.
Ears are just kind of like holes in the side of their scaly heads.
No. They're at the top and they're very expressive.
Oh, you mean like the big gill that comes around? Is that what that's you're calling the ear? And then they spit
They're
venom?
little like pockets. Like put your hands in like little pockets and you put them on top of your
I don't
head
have hands,
this.
Andrew. I have paws.
Yeah, you have paws, right? I forgot about that. Yes.
I can give like little paws kits.
Yeah, little pockets. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? You're nailing it. You look really good. To go see how Mikey thinks a dog looks, please go to YouTube.
Dogs can open doors because they're clever girls, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
They've
have
got big claws.
unquenchable thirst for child blood.
Oh, am I a dog?
Are you a dog?
Am I a dog?
How many more things do you think you could be today? You
A
could
god
be
and dog backwards. I mean, this is when I look in a mirror, I am a dog.
Mikey, you can be anything you want to be.
Oh, thank
Just
you.
keep that in mind,
Just
okay?
keep that in mind. I can be a dog and a god. Is there a god dog? I'm sure. Well, there's
Yeah.
a dog. God dog.
God dog it.
Here's another interesting tidbit of the development before we get into the game.
Please.
While they were developing the game, it was a small group. It started with 2 people. I think it got up to a size of about 10 or so programmers and designers working on the game.
That's amazing.
It is amazing given what this game ends up becoming.
Yes, seriously.
And it looks great and it plays great. The sound is fantastic, which we'll get into in our review portion. But most of them had cats, and a lot of them had office cats. So they would study them. They would base their designs off of some of the cats that they had. One of the team members had a Sphinx cat, so no fur. So analyzing the movement of it and kind of doing mapping. It wasn't clear if they actually put like the motion tracking dots on it because it doesn't have fur. They can just stick it to the Sphinx armor.
I'm sure the cat loved that.
The cat definitely loved it.
Loved it.
Loved it. I hear all these balls on me. I can't even play with them. Just playing with the motion things. So basing all their playment around them, they said that they knew that they had reached the next level of their development when their office cat started to interact with Will Ferrell cat on screen.
Oh, wow.
That would
Really?
be so cool to
That is-
create something from scratch and then have cats play. Because I don't know, have you seen the Twitter account of cats watching Stray?
No.
It's great. It's people just filming their cats watching Stray.
That's amazing.
It's fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
It's cool, and that comes down to what a big chunk of the charm of this game is,
Yes.
right? You're playing as a cat.
You get to be a cat.
You get to be a cat.
That is the fun part. I sold my player 1 on this idea.
Yes.
Like I was like, hey, I got to play this game for the podcast. You're a cat.
Well,
and then she did, I'm a cat. I'm like, I'm not doing this at home too. I already
No,
do this at work.
you're a lamb.
I can't bring my work home with me like this.
Mikey's a god. That you said that, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I
okay,
did.
good.
I said, yeah, which one is this? Dog or God? No, you're a cat. Oh, God, here
Jesus
I go again.
Christ.
No, and that's the sell point. Like, that's
Yes.
the easy enough. You get to play as a cat. And I don't need more than that. That sounds pretty good.
So much so, this game was preloaded and downloaded by so many people on Steam prior to the game coming out that it became Annapurna's, which is a publishing company, and they've got a lot of really high-profile games. The game that was most concurrently played at around 60,000 concurrent players at any given time by Annapurna, and that's no slouch because Annapurna's also done games like they did Gone Home, What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah.
They did the Windows ports of Journey and Flower.
Wow.
Like a lot of really big games. So this is potentially their biggest one yet.
It also felt like we talked about it where, was it at E3 or something, where there was a playable trailer and people like lost their mind and all of a sudden like 2 days later you could play the game. It felt like the lead time was very short.
So if you were paying attention, this was announced because it was delayed a few times, but it really became, it went viral, I think, very early prior to the release. But that was kind of by design. B12 wanted to focus all of their their PR on what assets they would have to assign to PR and advertising. They just wanted to keep that focused on development. Like, never mind selling this. We've got the team we want. We want to make a good game. We're not going to sell it until it's ready to be sold.
The easiest selling job in the world, though. Like, put me on PR there. I would just walk out there and be like, "You're a cat," and then I would step off the stage and be
drop
like,
the mic. Yeah, 100%.
Losing their minds.
No, and it worked, right?
Yes.
Like, clearly it worked. Now, is this game the best game that Annapurna's ever published?
No.
I don't think so, but it's good, and it's good enough to get your attention. And this is where we're going to have to start talking about the gameplay and the story beats. So we're now entering the realm of spoilers.
We are. But you and I also had a conversation before we started this podcast. I am not, well, first of all, I'm not a spoiler person. I could care less if people spoil things for me. I don't know how much of this game you can actually get.
Darth
spoiled.
Vader is Luke's father.
Oh, fuck off, Mikey. You knew I was going to get to that eventually. Is that I'm not sure how much you can spoil in this game. So if you're super sensitive, yes, absolutely. Turn this off. Go play the game. Come back to it and visit us later. If you're not, I don't know how much this is going to ruin for you. But that's just me.
I think even having the story, I disagree. I think there are things that you can spoil about the game, but I don't think that having those things spoiled makes the game not worth playing.
Yeah.
I think that the game is worth playing because of the gameplay elements, the exploration, and the general whimsy of it. I honestly think the story is... The atmosphere is integral. The story is secondary to the rest of the game.
I would completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I would completely agree with you.
I will say that the atmosphere of this game is fucking amazing. But now let me bring you back to a moment, Andrew.
Spoilers have started.
Spoilers are started.
It's like your favorite Honda Civic. It's got a huge spoiler.
Oh, Andrew.
Yep.
Can we just stop the podcast and go watch Fast and the Furious right now?
Do you want to watch the 8th movie?
Isn't the Fast The Fast and the Furious was the first one.
The Fast and the Furious is the first one? No,
yeah.
Fast and Furious is the first one.
No, The Fast and the Furious was the first one.
The fact, okay, this is how you know they failed in their titling conventions, is the fact that we're debating this.
I don't think they failed because we have Fate.
We have
Fast
Fate.
8.
Yes.
We have Fast 5.
We have F9.
We have F9.
Yes, which is a control on the keyboard.
We have Alt F4, which shuts the whole movie theater down.
Getting closer and closer. Okay, spoilers are going.
Spoilers are going, but I'm going to take you back to a moment, Andrew. You just turned this game on.
Mm-hmm.
You know you're playing as a cat.
Yes.
Immediately, what is the... I don't know if this is going to work, but let me ask you out of curiosity. What is one of the first things you notice? You're controlling the cat now. What is one of the first things you noticed? Give me your initial thoughts.
Yeah, the walking pattern. That was like the first thing I was like, okay, how far can I go if I do this? Okay, whatever. Yeah. Then the one of the first things, the interactive elements. You're on a piece of concrete in like a tunnel.
This is the first essentially story beat.
The first time it comes out like it fade from black and you come up and then if immediately you can either jump in a box or scratch something.
Well, you can. Okay, so we're getting close to what I wanted to hit on.
Yes,
here. You can jump in a box, but you can't jump and land in a box randomly.
No.
You have to go up to the box and press the action button to jump your cat into the box.
Yes.
There's no jump button in this game.
Oh, there is no jump button.
That's the thing that immediately, it's crazy because you are a cat in this game, not you, Andrew.
No, we're not going to keep doing this.
Not going to keep doing this.
But I might be a cat.
But you might be a cat.
I'm really worried.
Established now.
I'm really just biting my tongue on this one.
Oh, don't that sandpaper tongue. How are you going to groom yourself if you bite your tongue? You can't jump, and that for a game that says this is almost like Cat Simulator or whatever, like that's kind of the premise it was sold on. I imagined an acrobatic platformer, and that is not what this is.
No.
Now, at first I was like, this is weird and I don't like it. But when you listen to the reasoning of the development team and why they did it, and then you kind of imagine what the game would be like if there was a free roaming jump button, I don't know that it would have worked as well. Imagine being a cat and jumping and missing a ledge. Like, that's not very cat-like.
No.
I think the fact that everything you jump on, you have to look at, there's a prompt, and you jump there, makes all the jumps look more cat-like, feel more graceful, and of course it does kind of limit exploration.
Yes.
Which to me is a key element of being a cat. It made this game feel a little bit on rails, but what did you think? Would you have preferred a free roaming jump button or did this end up working for you?
Free roaming jump button.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. The issues with some of the gameplay that will come up later are due to the fact that everything is on rails.
Yes.
Very clearly. And the few times that let you have to be creative on how you'd fix solutions were some of the best parts of the game.
Yes.
But they were few and far between because of the few options. You knew where you had to go.
Yes.
So much so that there were arrows sometimes pointing on where to go.
True.
So like it's not even that, but just there are so many elements of being on the rails in this game that can make you feel unenthused about going to play the game.
Beating it, like, compare this to a game like Portal. Okay. Where when you find the solution to a puzzle, you feel like it only could have possibly been you who have figured that out. You feel like the smartest person on the planet. Well, I'm playing this game. Immediately I'm thinking, what is the game expecting me to do here?
Yeah.
Because that's the only way this is getting done.
Right.
Everything is very much on rails there. Now, Part of me doesn't hate that because I think that every other game is super open and allows you to do a million different things. The fact that this was a much more consciously streamlined, controlled game. Once I got my head around the idea of free roaming and free jumping, I was like, okay, I'll be on rails. I'm on rails in Gone Home. I'm on rails in Edith Finch.
Yes.
There are games like that. This game, I realized, is a walking sim. Like, it's a walking sim as a cat. It's as close to that as you can get with a little bit more acrobatic.
There's a little bit more puzzles too. I think the last third of the game is the most successful for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it was the most challenging when it came to puzzles. And that part I enjoyed the most. The problem is it's also the lightest in story, and I don't feel that the story is very successful. So what I was going to say is just about Edith Finch and Gone Home before I like reveal everything I've thought about this game, is that the reason those are really successful is because they're walking simulators and the story carries it. And you're just like, and that's okay. True. You just want to get to the next part so you can find out more about the story. I don't know if the story was so captivating to me in this one about, I guess we're just saying everything now, but like B12 and the robots and Momo and Clementine and finding the roof, finding the, to the ground level and stuff like that was so captivating that I'm like, I cannot wait to get to the next part here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree with you there. Yeah. I think the story is a means to an end, honestly. And I liked the exploration. I liked it sounds weird to say this, but the human element of it. I liked interacting with the robots. I like to learn about their relationships with one another. I like to run tasks for them. And I disagree. I think the last 3/4 of the game, I think the first quarter of the game is better than the last 3/4 combined. I think that opening city where you're learning about the robots living in squalor. They're giving you some tidbits of information, like the humans were here, but it's been a long time before there's a clear culture around the robots that live there. It felt like that was the biggest moment of like, here's a playground for a cat. Yeah. There are objectives to do. You can explore it at any pace that you want. You do have the set, like, go into, like, find the, you have to find Momo. You have to find the 3 missing diaries. But apart from that, there were vending machines that you could find. There were music notes that you could find. There were little mysteries like safes that you needed to unlock. Yeah. And it felt like I was just having fun, regardless of whether I was hitting plot points. I was just having fun living in that world. Beyond that, when the story does start to pick up, like, you leave that area and you cannot go back. No. And then you get into a tree house area, and then you leave that and you cannot go back. Yeah. And then you get into the city that is under control by the Sentinels, and then you leave that and you cannot go back.
And you go to jail, and then
jail and this. Yeah. And that, for a game that I thought was going to be more about just living in it. Yeah. I felt rushed in a way that I didn't like. Now, the idea of an Odyssey type game where you're constantly on the move, a road narrative, I like that. Yeah. But I didn't feel like I loved the way it was implemented in this game. And I think what it comes down to is the fact that first area felt the most like there was the most love, care, attention to detail, and the most organic aspect of growth and pace of growth. Whereas all the other ones felt rushed to me.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
When you talk about the last third, what last? Are you talking about the city or the jail?
I'm talking about Clementine.
Yeah,
and the getting her
prison?
out, and then no, just before that, her apartment. Yeah, her apartment on.
Yeah,
because I felt like those were the biggest challenges of like trying to get the vest and the hat, and you got to you got to wake up the drunk from the bar and get into the box who carries you into the hat shop, and I was like, hey. Now we're actually doing stuff here. Like, now I have to think. Where before it was just like hop. And while it was whimsical, and I will say I agree with you, we were saying it earlier, like the atmosphere and especially the graphics, I was really taken back on. Like, I think it was just beautiful.
Yeah, the game looks
so
next gen. I'm just like, every so often I play a game and I'm like, okay, here we are. This is the next gen era.
It looks so good, and the cat looks so good, and the cat moves really great, and all that was really fun. But like, I just didn't feel any motivation until my brain was actually challenged. Okay. From there on out, and I felt because the Sentinels are much more challenging than the Zerks, which came on earlier, and so once I was doing that, I actually had to stop and think and go, okay, wait. How am I gonna do this for a second? Right. Before I was just like, well, just run. Like, run. The Zerks aren't gonna catch you. Just run. You know what I mean?
What did you think about those Zerk interactions? Because it was weird. If you run in a straight line, even though you're constantly moving, they'll get you.
Yeah.
You have to sway and swerve.
I was like Barry Sanders in the open field, baby. I was like, hey, oh, bam.
I was like Deion Sanders.
Oh, you were Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
You were the other Sanders brother.
I was the other Sanders
Yeah,
brother.
okay.
Yeah. Bernie was there.
Colonel. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Once you get the hang of it, those chase sequences were, they get your blood pumping. The losing them didn't really matter because you just start from scratch again. Like it's fine. I didn't mind that.
I got the hilariously condescending achievement.
You died?
9 lives.
Oh, 9 lives. I got that too.
If you died 9 times. Well, when I was shot by a sentinel, I actually was like, oh, fuck.
Getting shot. There's a visceral reaction to it. That sucked.
I know.
And I feel like dirty when it happens.
I thought getting eaten alive would be more disturbing. No, getting shot is more disturbing.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my goodness.
So I want to compare 2 moments in the game to talk about the puzzle element that you're talking about and the puzzle elements earlier in the game. Yes, those moments of like cause and effect, almost like a Rube Goldberg machine of, well, you got to get this and wait till the drunk wakes up and then they lift the box, but you get in the box, so you get taken into place because and I'll talk about that in more detail in a second, but that felt good to me. But there are slight moments of that in the first sequence as well. I'm thinking about you need to get laundry detergent at one point to unlock something to trade with the merchant. And in order to do that, you see these people above the laundry, like the laundromat's closed, and there are people throwing paint cans across the roof from each other up top. You meow as they're about to throw. They drop the paint. The person comes out to clean the paint in front of the laundromat. You go into the laundromat, grab the detergent. Great. That is something I did organically. I didn't know I needed the detergent before I got it. I was just exploring because I'm like, it's cool to be a cat. This city is fantastic. It's got a Blade Runner aesthetic. I love the neon. I love everything about where I'm at. It's dirty, like gritty. I like that. So exploring was fun to me. I didn't need the puzzles. I was just like, I like living in it. Cut to the moment you're talking about, where you have to get your way into a hat store to steal a construction worker's hat, essentially, so that you can enter a factory. You can't enter the hat store because the guy's saying there's deliveries and he's blocking the entrance before you try to get in. The delivery guy isn't bringing boxes in, even though you can jump in the boxes because he says his drunk friend is in the bar. So you go wake up the drunk friend by dropping a bottle on his head. Hide in the box. The drunk friend comes, brings the box, drops it in there. Now you're in and you can take the hat and exit. Cool. But that couldn't happen for you organically because what's the first thing you do when you're in a new situation, especially in a game about a cat that rewards curiosity? What's the first thing you want to do?
Explore.
Right. You want to push on all the little nooks and crannies and test the boundaries to find the secrets before proceeding with the main story.
Yeah.
So I think I added about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to my gameplay in this game because before I did what I knew I was supposed to do in this city, which was search for Clementine, I checked everywhere that I knew Clementine wasn't. That's what these games are about. And that's what I was able to do in the first segment. I found the back area of the bar. I found the opening to the nightclub, which you need later on. I entered the clothing store where you need to get the construction jacket, but I wasn't able to do any of this stuff until a story beat. And then what I had to do was go back to those areas and do them again. I remember thinking in my first hour or so in the new city, I'm like, part 1, everywhere you explored that you got to somewhere that felt like you shouldn't be, there was a reward there of some. There was a memory or a bottle or like an energy drink that you can trade. Everywhere I got in the third city was empty, and I'm like, there's no reward for exploration. I'm checking under boxes. There's just nothing there. Until the story beats are activated, and then you can get there. So it felt way less organic to me.
Yeah.
Does that balance not mean as much?
No, like I get what you're saying. I just found the first bit to be like so simplistic that I just kind of was like, I don't feel challenged by this. And I think the problem is if this game was just simply an exploration game, be a cat in a weird city. Cool. But it's not. It's a game about, like, clearly by their own admission, it's a game about like progressing.
Right.
And so therefore I didn't feel the need to just like, if they had just told you like, this is a world, explore it, this is it. You'd be like, oh, cool, I'm just doing whatever I want now. But since I knew I had achievable missions I had to do to move on, well, that's what I'm going to do because I'm a video game player. I play video games.
It's funny because I would define a video game player as someone who does everything apart from the main story. No, sorry, that's very reductive. I think there are types of video game players, and I count myself among them, which want to do everything apart from the main quest before they do the main quest. Right. And that's kind of the enjoyment. I do the main quest to be like, okay, I'm good. I saw everything I want to see. Time to move on. Okay. I can't help but do that. It's like an obsessive part of me. If there's collectibles, I have to collect them. And this is why I always talk about like the Assassin's Creed games. I can't do them because there's too much to collect and I don't enjoy doing any of it. This was tight enough in the first area and simple enough that in me...
Simple enough.
Definitely simple enough. But once I started to realize like this is a walking sim, or I treated it with the same sort of thing, I was like, I was just checking boxes and exploring as a cat, which I haven't done in many other video games, and I was enjoying it. And I was enjoying the kind of hands-off approach of the game, not forcing me to move. I didn't know at this point, keep in mind, that once I left that city, I was never coming back. And that kind of bummed me out a little bit. Yeah. Granted, you can, I don't know if you knew this or not, but if you miss a collectible or miss a memory or something, you can go back to earlier chapters and just go do it and just build on your progress without messing up the progress that you made in the future. Okay. Did you have any inclination to do that? Did you want to do that? You didn't have that?
No, because I didn't find the memories to be that sasatisfying. Like they didn't give me much incentive to do it. I appreciate that you want to check boxes and stuff like that, or you know. Or what was the thing you always make fun of for Assassin's Creed? Bell diving missions?
Oh, the bell diving missions.
Whatever.
It's your to-do list.
Who cares? Yeah. Once I started realizing, I'm like, wow, these really don't matter. And to be perfectly honest, one of my biggest issues, I don't know, I don't want to kind of delay this too much here, but like one of my biggest issues is I did not like BlueTwelve as a character.
I didn't either. I understand their necessity though.
I understand why this might be the biggest motivator of the whole game. Right. Is finding BlueTwelve's humanity and point in life and finding out their memories and all that kind of stuff. But it was either the way that they spoke to me or the verbal text, that the noise that they used or something. I'm like, I do not care about this thing at all.
I totally agree.
And actually, to be perfectly honest, I was kind of like, once I was attached to that robot, I'm like, oh, is this what this game's about? Oh, there was an element to that. You know what BlueTwelve reminded me of was Navi from the Ocarina of Time. Yeah, a notoriously, made fun of character for just being annoying because they're just a exposition dump. That's kind of what they're just providing context. Like literally I feel like, look, it's a small team. I like the game, but there are these very video gamey things that they do. Yes. And one of them is, what if there's a character with amnesia that knows just enough to tell you about the environment? Yes. And will follow you everywhere you go. Yeah. And that's what this is. Just like Navi, and I'm like, I did not love that very much. No, and I hated that like we could upgrade them eventually to like fry Zerks and like turn on a light bulb, but every once in a while it's not going to work, and you're like, oh, okay, well, all right, I guess. Yeah,
another thing that felt very much on rails. Actually, that does happen because you have a flashlight that's based on that comes with BlueTwelve. But then you get an upgrade that will actually fry the Zerks. That segment of the game was put in as a revenge plot by the developers because they had a bedbug infestation, and they're like, how great would it be if you could just fucking explode those things, which is pretty cool. That's funny. I'm sure it would have happened regardless, but so
it's a relatively short part of the game that you get it for, and then all of a sudden,
honestly, thankfully,
and then you're left. Then you leave an area where there are no more Zerks. Yes, so you're like, oh, I don't even need it anymore.
Well, it's very clearly balanced where there's a charge on those. On the flashlight thing that fries the Zerks, where you can only hold it open to fry them for so long. And there's always just enough Zerks that you need 2 charges to just arbitrarily kind of increase the tension. But I was never in danger. And again, walking sim was I supposed to be. Every time I died was just kind of like, okay, whatever.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Which it's the problem is, and this is kind of strikes to the core of this game for me, is that I have trouble staying motivated a lot because every time I died, which is usually a big benchmark in any video game, I just kind of went, okay. All right, I guess I'll do it again.
Honestly, yeah. Which is, so I'll talk about my association between this game and Elden Ring now.
Oh yeah,
because death in Elden Ring is a much bigger deal. Yes. It's frustrating. You lose progress. You died. In this, it's like an immediate, you're just reset. You're right back to where you were. It's almost just a time tax. However, I was playing this game and Elden Ring simultaneously, and I realized I was almost stressed out about starting up Elden Ring.
Oh.
every time I was about to start it
Okay.
up. And I was relieved every time I got to start up Stray. And I'm
Oh.
like, why is that? And I realized there is something really fucking nice about starting up a game and knowing you can't fuck it up. There's progress to be made in Elden Ring. Dying can be consequential. You can lose progress. You can spend a lot of time. You can put yourself on a path. I'm granted with fast travel, it's not as big of a deal, but like I constantly feel like I can be fucking up my character by progressing in the wrong way, not leveling up the right weapons.
Sure.
Dying over and over again, wasting my time because I'm not making progress because I'm just off my game that day and I'm dying. The stakes always seem really high when I'm playing Elden Ring. It was really nice to play a game where I'm like, you're not going to mess anything up.
No.
They're going to hold your hand and drag you across the finish line if that's what it takes. Like,
But does that diminish the enjoyability at all sometimes?
For me, no, because I'm a big fan when it comes to gaming.
You're just a big fan.
I'm just a big fan.
You're
fan
a
of
big
gaming.
fan. Yeah.
But when it comes to critiquing games, I'm very focused on what the intention of the developer was. And I don't think the intention of this game was to be difficult. I think it was to allow exploration and creativity and curiosity. So when it comes to limits in exploration, I'll be highly critical of the game for that. But when it comes to the game not being hard, I don't really care.
That is totally fine.
Yeah.
I am totally okay with that. And everyone gets to enjoy games in their own way. And I am totally okay with that. My problem is ultimately this game kind of feels like a proof of concept. And
that is a great point.
Instead
it
of
really does.
Instead of like an actual video game. And I didn't pay for it. Like I paid for the PlayStation premium,
service.
whatever.
Yeah. PlayStation
Gold,
Plus,
Emerald, Bronze of the Wizard style,
Yes.
whatever the most bougie thing I can buy. And so in that way, I didn't pay for it, but I do pay for the service. So you're not like at the end going like, I want my $9 back or something like that.
Yeah.
But it is like, man,
how much would you have paid for this game?
that is exactly what I was just going to ask you.
Okay.
Not a lot. You know
Okay.
what I mean? So like in my mind, there are tiers.
Yes.
There are like the under $10 games, which is like kind of mobile and whatever. And then there are the $20, $24 games. Keep in mind we're Canada. I know there are price ranges that are different all over the world. And then there are the $40 games, which are like almost AAA games. And then there's the 60 plus games, $60 plus games, which are the AAA games. I don't think I'm paying in the 40 range. I think I'm paying the $24, $25 range.
Yeah, I would say $29.99 is probably where I'm at. However, now being on the other side of it, I wouldn't have been upset if I paid $40 for it. I just don't think I would have paid $40 for it. Like, this is where I love things like Game Pass and PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have played this game otherwise.
No, I don't think we'd be doing an episode about this, but it obviously took people by storm because of the amount of people that have been able to play the game.
Right.
So which is really exciting.
Yeah.
It does feel like, and it's not even a time thing because I don't care. We like short games.
Right.
Some of the, like Firewatch and all these games that left a huge impression on us that are 5-hour games, 6-hour games, 7-hour games. This one, I don't care that it's only a couple hours long. That has nothing to do with the price, to be perfectly honest. If it's the best game I've ever played and it's 7 hours, who the fuck cares?
Yeah. I actually kind of liked that. Another reason why I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to play a game if I know that it's 30 hours. If I know it's 8 or 6, I can do that.
Well, it's like what's a big discussion we're going to have, which we're going to have over at the Mushroom Club where we're doing our TV roundup this week.
Right.
But is that, some people are like, well, it's a TV show and it's 9 hours long. You're like, but a 3-hour movie could have done something more impactful to me.
100%.
You know what I mean? And
brevity means a lot to me. I think.
Exactly. And it's just so funny because we change our outlook and say 3 hours is a long time for a movie. But you're like, 9-hour show is totally okay.
True.
And so I just think it is concise. It doesn't elaborate too much. It doesn't explore too much. And if anything, it's actually a little too small for me, storyline wise. But I just don't know. $40 might have been a little tough for me. I don't know.
I agree. That would have been the tipping point. I may have had to have had a couple drinks. I felt a little lonely.
Yeah.
Then maybe I would have.
You also would meowed with the cat.
Yes, exactly. Dedicated meow button. That's great.
Yeah, the dedicated meow button is phenomenal.
Oh, can I tell you something weird about this?
Sure.
And okay, listen to me, D-pads. I'm out here on my.
Can you imagine them like woodworking, going like, "What's this now?" Okay, I'm basically.
Dear Philippines, I'm trying to become an advocate for completely customizable controls in every game, no matter what. Sure. Cult of the Lamb does not have that, and that bothers me. There are 3 set control schemes, none of them work. I changed my controls in a way that I think would make some people vomit. But I'm now a big fan.
Vomit.
Okay. Well, or cough up a hairball. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Tell me whether or not this sounds weird to you.
Okay.
Because it works for me. Jump for you was X, right?
We didn't have a jump button.
Well,
Action button?
The action button.
Yeah, it
X,
was X or A. Yeah,
which means you are jumping a lot. So you're pressing X or A to reach heights, right? Run is R2.
R2.
And camera control is the right thumbstick.
Right thumbstick.
Right?
Yes.
So, and meow is circle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of heavy lifting that thumb's doing, controlling, especially if you're sprinting. Now, if you want to sprint and jump, you have to sacrifice either meowing or the joystick.
Could you meow while sprinting?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I did.
Oh, yeah.
So what I did, and I do this in most games that gives me the opportunity, I mapped jump to L1.
Wow.
So jump to L1, which means I can sprint and move my joystick and meow without worrying about messing up. Like every time I want to press action. So I was able to maneuver around. It took a little getting used to, but I was able to maneuver around the areas so much better because I could move the camera jump without ever having to take my right thumb off of the stick. Otherwise I'd be clawing it, and I didn't want to do the claw controls there.
The claw.
And then L2 is was the flashlight button. So if you have both of your buttons there, I could do everything without ever sacrificing a button press.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, next time you have the opportunity to map jump to one of the shoulder buttons, do it. Take it off of X. X as jump is no good.
Got to relearn the whole thing now.
But it's worth it.
Okay.
X as jump is, say it with me, X as jump is not worth it. Because it is very cumbersome. X says jump is not worth it. Because it is very cumbersome. X says jump is not worth it. Because it is very cumbersome. There you go. Yeah,
very good. That's pretty catchy.
It was great. I loved it. Sprint was R2. I felt like I was maneuvering like a real ass cat by the end of it.
Can I just say the meow button too?
Yeah.
My Will Ferrell was a very cocky cat. I was meowing at everything.
Everything.
Like a bunch of Zerks turn around, look here, you're like, meow, 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 meow. All right, time to go. I love
Turn around and meow at them.
Yeah,
they
meow, meow,
chase
meow.
you.
Come and catch me, you stupid idiots. I can jump, you can't.
Was there any, well, you can kind of jump. It reminded me of Uncharted in that way. Where it's like, it lets you do very cool looking things, but
That's
it's like,
exactly what I was
I
gonna
didn't
say.
actually do anything though.
1,000%.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, do you want to scale this wall? It's this ledge, and then that ledge, and then this ledge, and that ledge. And you're like, I did it. Like, cool.
and it's, the game is now about not, and I said this when I first started talking about the game a few weeks ago on the podcast. I was like, there was something really cool that happened where I was exploring in the opening segments, trying to make my way to the first city section. And I was at a ledge, and something caught my eye, and it was like a little like fabric dangling on an air conditioner.
Yes.
And that caught my eye, and I looked up and I was like, oh, I bet you I can jump up there. And I could.
Yep.
That's brilliant game design. But what ends up happening in this game is they kind of forego that, and everything is either orange-ish, which means you can jump on it, that's fine, I get. But it ends up just being like, I am somewhere, I'm moving my camera around to see where X pops up. And that's it. That's what the game ended up being.
Yes.
And
or
that was frustrating.
inspect, or like in all the other buttons too. Like actually one of the ones I did like is in Clementine's apartment, and you need to find her code. And that is one of the few times where they give you red herrings. You can inspect things that don't become anything.
Right.
And I'm like, that's great. So instead of me just lazily going like click, 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 looking around, it actually gave me stuff like, well, nothing here. Like,
Because
awesome.
she's hidden like elements of a password or something in 3 specific areas of her place. You can inspect a bunch of things that don't look like they're out of place, but 3 out of the 10 of them are the ones that you have to hit.
You're given
really
clues
cool.
to which ones you're looking for. So if you'd actually given it some thought, you could figure it out, or you could have lazily just gone around and looked for stuff.
Right.
I appreciate that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because it felt like an old point and click adventure where you're just like, where can I click on this because I don't know what I'm doing, and then something pops up and you're like, great.
100%. And that's the same way with and that's why I felt the difference between Sentinels and the Zergs.
Yes.
Sentinels felt alive and dangerous. Zergs felt clumsy and like whatever. And I guess that's the progression of the game because you're in lower levels to higher levels. But I much rather dealt with the Sentinels because they were actually like kind of spooky.
They were kind of spooky in that moment. Actually, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a little path? We'll move from the first city, which we've talked about a lot. You know, it's the slums, it's the Blade Runner area. You meet kind of like a leader of these people, and it becomes clear that they've been sure, they were originally made to serve humans, but the humans have died, and there are clues, environmental clues, to state that they've developed sentience like thousands and thousands and thousands of years later, and now they just self-maintain. But they are being subjugated by people higher up from them in this walled-off city area. The overall story is that there was a calamity on Earth that seems to have been caused by this demolition company that was trying to make like garbage eating things. Which were the Zergs. They turned on humans and they ate all organic material and even some robots as well. And that was what kind of extinct the world. We went into these underground shelters to find shelter from the outside world, and ended up being trapped in there with the Zerg, which is not ideal. So the point of the game: find your way from bottom to top. It's a big Snowpiercer vibe to me. Yeah, sure. Because you're making your way from like the slums to the quote unquote front of the train, and you start with like dark, dim, no sunlight at all neon. And then you end up getting, by the end of it, you're like, everything is very clean and the robots self-maintain. And
they're very nice to you.
And they're very nice to you.
Like that was a big one, that they spoke to you kindly, whereas before they're like, piss off and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Very interesting.
Exactly. So we move from this original area where we're supposed to meet Momo and find out a way to reach the surface. The elevator that brings you from the slums up has been out of service for forever. Yeah. And no one knows how to activate it. But Momo, who is a robot that you meet, and his friends, his scientist friends, have an idea of how to get out. And you're basically following those breadcrumb trails. So after you've done what you need to do in that original area, you leave through the sewers to find a way up to the surface or closer to the surface. Now, when you leave, as I mentioned, you can't go back. That is something that I hate in games. The fact that you can go back to earlier chapters, great, but it gave me this feeling of like, well, I never know when the door is going to close behind me at any point. So I never wanted to progress the story unless I was 100% complete everything. But sometimes the next portion of a puzzle was on the other side of a door, and I never knew when that was going to be the case.
So, okay, but I am a little bit, I don't know how I feel about this. I get what you're saying, and I appreciate that, but then also there's certain games where they go like, you are about to enter the final like mode of this game, and this game will end afterwards. You know, like I think Horizon Zero Dawn did this. Sure. This is the boss. Yes. Like this is it. Do you want to progress into it? That is also takes you right out of the game too, that you're like,
I love when they do that. Yeah, but I always want them to do that.
Yeah, but then you lose all the organic nature of like being inside of a video game.
Sometimes I've come to realize this. Sometimes, like, I'm never so far into a video game that I don't know that I'm experiencing real life. I'm always aware that I am playing a game. And sometimes those gamey elements help just for ease of use. You know, like the difference being in Red Dead, being able to summon your horse from wherever. Yeah. Right? Super convenient. Yes. You can't do that in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is like, guys, I can scale a fucking mountain because I ate a fruit halfway up that gave me more endurance. Yeah. Like, let me, those gamey things, I don't need it to be 100% real. Yeah. And I like the fact that there will be a gate, and they're saying once you step on the other side of this, and to be fair, they did have someone saying that. They did. They're like, hey, you can't come back from the sewers, but there was a collectible I didn't have, and I looked everywhere, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna find that on the other side of this, and then I'm gonna loop back around to this area, and that never happens. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but I think there's something different about like reality being broken in the game, like a horse appearing next to you or something like that. Right. And the people outside the game going like, hey, this game is going to end. Do you want to do that? I don't know. I agree with you. I've never been so into it that I've lost reality. Like, God, that would be bad. But that'd be great. Fucking love that. Oh my God. Well, I keep staring at that Oculus. Keep that on. But I don't know how I feel. I feel both ways about that. Right. Okay. Yeah. So we make our way through the sewers. Yes. This is you and Momo perilously getting from point A to point B. This is one of the clear, we talked about in Cult of the Lamb, you have your town moments and your combat moments. This is the combat moment. And you make your way through and eventually get to a point that we haven't talked about at all, which is weird because I think this could have been one of the greatest set pieces in the game. You get past the sewers and you find yourself in this treehouse community, which is very short-lived. Very short-lived. You barely remember it, but it's very cool. It's built up. There's this a whole community that lives in the tree. There's some organic growth of trees down over towards like a sewer area where things are falling from the upper levels of the walled city. And there isn't much to say apart from the fact that you meet one of the other robot scientists. The theme of this is every one of the robot scientists you tend to meet are incapacitated or dead or have given up on trying to find their way out, with the exception of Clementine. What did you think of this segment of the game, of the treehouse area? Any thoughts on it? I barely remember it. You know what I mean? And also of the thing, I really liked it but I also found it to be one of the most simple because it is the most limited. Yes. That
immediately knew where I was going, and that's why it ended so fast.
True.
You know what I mean?
I knew where I was going, but it was complicated in terms of trying to find ways up to secret areas.
Sure,
So
okay.
Did you do the collectible portion of this one?
I tried to do as much as I could. I believe I did.
Yeah, it was getting the colored flowers
yes.
that you would give to someone to create to something. Like this is another situation where I collected a flower, I inspected it, and it's like someone may be interested in receiving these colors. So I was like, okay, I know that's what I'm going to have to do. Collected them before I even found the person who wanted them. I had all of them. I'm like, okay. A side issue of this game, finishing a collectible, like a collectible run, gets you that little button.
Yeah.
And you barely even see it on your cat. I don't necessarily need it to impact gameplay, but give me something a bit more chunky when I that I can sink my teeth into.
Yeah. Here comes Chunky. Is it like, how about this? If you did the side missions, you get to customize the cat.
Great.
Like,
fantastic.
You know, like something like that. People are like, oh, fuck, I want to do that.
Even the color of the jacket, the type of cat, anything like that.
Yeah,
that
B12
would have been
gets to change its
fantastic.
color.
And
know?
that feels like something they could do with a bigger team or something like that. Not maybe as easy with such a small development team. Although this game, I will say, does not feel like a game made by a small development team.
No, not at all. And any criticism I want to make sure, like, it's not, I am not saying this is a bad game. And I think it's actually really impressive considering 10 people made it.
Yeah.
And it's like incredibly imaginative and innovative.
Yes, I agree with that.
I just think when we start doing the retrograde thing where we compare it to other games, you're kind of like, well, there are some flaws.
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I mean? Like,
there absolutely are. There absolutely are. One of the flaws, I think, is the fact that the gameplay segments, even the ones that try to change things a little bit, feel very straightforward. I'm wondering why they couldn't have in this area of the treehouse thing, like, what if the Zerg kind of like escape from the sewer and they're trying to make their way up the tree and it's like a tower defense thing,
Yeah,
where
that's
you're
cool.
running and like setting up different traps, maintain like a tower defense element that would have brought some combat in it without it being twitch and it being more strategic. You can drop paint cans on them as they're coming, set up
that's
traps.
cool.
Like that to me feels like wasted opportunity for such a gorgeous set piece in this area to sort of bring in a little bit more life to it. But like we said, we don't spend a ton of time here. We make our way to the top and we realize that the scientist robot who is beckoning us there had basically become one with nature. The roots had grown into them and they were kind of like a part of the world. It's almost like they were the sentience of the tree or something like that. It was cool.
I like that.
We make our way from there up into a new city, which is the city which is subjugating the lower portions of the city, but they themselves are subjugated by a police force, the Sentinels, and another remaining force that's kind of patrolling.
Can I mention that before we got to that, you go through the sewers and that's where we see the eyes of the Zerg and the growth?
Right.
I thought that was one of the coolest things visually.
Yeah.
When there seems to be a growth throughout the sewers. So the Zergs are these, like, I don't know, little like throw pillow size. Actually, that's kind of what their bodies are like too.
Basically, yeah.
And they just kind of crawl.
They look like head crabs from Half-Life.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And all they're trying to do is eat you. So they're trying to jump on top of you. So they do these big leaping motions, but you're faster than them. So if you stay agile and kind of hop around and stuff, you can stay outside them. But then you start seeing these growths on the wall, like these pinks, pink growth. And there'd be these like large pimple type things and Zergs would pop out of them.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden things like that eyes would open on the wall. And you're like, oh my God. And then eventually you see a big eye.
And they're all watching you.
They're all, and they keep moving around no matter where you are. And it was very cool, very creepy.
And this was basically like an organic life form that was supposed to just eat trash and ended up eating absolutely everything, organic and otherwise. And that's the like we said, the downfall. Make your way through the sewers and get to the city, which is the city we talked about, where there are a lot more puzzles. You're supposed to find Clementine, who is the last remaining robot.
Yeah.
Not a ton more to say about this apart from the fact that you do eventually find Clementine. You get someone sells you out.
Yes, in the nightclub.
In a nightclub and puts you in prison. You escape from the prison with Clementine. Did you like the prison portion of it, by the way?
I did, because it was one of the few times where I actually had to put my controller down and go, okay, wait, where am I going here?
Yeah.
Because it was tough. The Sentinels felt like they were blocking you from going in an essential way.
Right.
But if you had to just get a little creative, like always, you know what I mean? That I actually did, because it was also the simplest, which I thought was a very nice juxtaposition to reset the game from all these like busy cities and stuff going on to going like, this is an empty jail.
Right.
With no one else in it except for
Right.
you and Clementine and a bunch of sentinels.
Dilapidated, and you know that it's been there a while because if you talk to some of the robots that are still functioning in there,
Yeah.
they're like, I only have 3,000 years left on my sentence or something.
Do you
like
notice
that.
the names of all of the robot prisoners?
Yes,
Yeah,
are based on like I saw. Was it Al Capone?
There was
or
Capone. There was Lupin.
Yes.
There was like all these like famous robot
criminals.
Yes.
Yeah, which is cool. I like
Yeah, I
that.
like
That's
that. That's cool.
that's nice. You know, no real impact on the story necessarily, but it's fun to see. And it just in general, I thought that the prison section was good, but it was kind of coming to the point, and I do think this was an issue with the game where it sort of felt at some point like it was overstaying its welcome a little bit. And I think that that's in my mind related to the relative emptiness that I felt in the second city portion. Regardless, you make your way through the prison, and now all of a sudden you're back out with Clementine. You escape from the Zerk, from the Sentinels, and she leaves you to go finish the mission on her own.
She sacrifices herself.
She sacrifices herself, and you go up to the top, which is where like you take the subway to where the entrance of the door is, and now it's just you and B12 in this very sterile environment. Clean.
Sterile's better actually.
Yeah. And it's just about how do we open up the ceiling of the walled city,
Which looks like a missile silo.
it looks very much
Yeah.
like a missile silo.
Yeah.
It's almost like they just stacked a city, like some slums down there. Now, this was another element that I liked because it felt like end game content where it wasn't very challenging, but I knew sort of where I had to go. There were a couple puzzles to do, but that was very handheld,
Very simple.
very easy puzzles.
Yeah.
And as you're doing it, you're realizing that outside of this window of a control room you find yourself in, you can overlook the entire area that you just came from. You can see the slums. You can see this dilapidated, like sectioned off area of the slums where that was overrun, which you had to go in to get this an antenna so that you can speak to the robots. You can see the city that you were in. You can see everywhere that you've been. You can see, and I always love that in a game.
Yes.
Stand up here and look at everything that you've been through. It's a big sense of accomplishment. And then the puzzle to open up the ceiling finally requires B12 to sacrifice themselves for to open the door, give out all of their power, and they knew they were going to have to do that, but they didn't care that they were going to be essentially incapacitating themselves because they knew that the story of humanity and robots would continue on in this cat somehow. Spiritually.
Yes, that is it. And it's a sad moment.
Yes.
So
for some people.
So for some, they intended it for it to be a very emotional moment.
It didn't really mean much to me.
No, I did not care for B12 at all.
Yeah.
All this thing about
B12, who sorry, we didn't even mention in the tree portion, discovers that their sentience was actually a human who had downloaded their mind into a computer program, and they're now remembering their family and all that, which is a tragic story, but also they're just hitting you over the fucking head with it.
Yeah, I was doing a thing where like I'm a cat and I'm now staring at like all the things, and he's like, I think I used to be a human, and I'm looking up like and I'm trying to like figure out where we're going. It's like, yeah, I remember everything. I'm like, no, it's that. Okay, no, we got
we get it. Listen, I'm a cat and I'm pissed off too. We've all got our issues.
I'm a savior and I don't have opposable thumbs. So what are we gonna do here, buddy? The biggest issue of why I didn't feel the emotional weight of the game that clearly they intended for was that every character you spend so little time with and then sacrifices themselves over and over and over again. The doctor and his son, Momo, Clementine, the B12, over and over again. And so I don't actually get to know any of them, feel or care for any of them.
Right.
And then they sacrifice themselves and I'm like, oh, thank you.
And here's the thing is a lot of people, like every time I think about that and how unsatisfactory it is, I think someone will be like, well, listen, in the Odyssey, this is what happens in the Odyssey. You know, Odysseus goes from place to place and doesn't take anyone with him and this and that and sheds his weight and whatever. But it's like, that was better written and that I did care. So it's like, you can do a road narrative, you can have an Odyssey, but and there's a way to still get you to care about the characters, but the fact that they just kept repeating the same thing of like, sorry, I got to sacrifice myself now. I got, there were characters I liked, but the impact of them sacrificing themselves wears thin a little bit, you know?
Well, yeah, and I just don't no, I agree with you. It's the writing. It's not the format.
Yes.
You could totally do that.
Yeah.
I would probably make them sacrifice themselves in different ways sometimes.
Sure.
But is that I didn't get to know any of them to have something that I had a bonding experience to go like, oh, I'll never forget you.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be honest, they all kind of blend together after a while, especially the standing up, the outsider robots. robots, Balthazar and
Yes.
Clementine and the doc and Momo and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, like, to be honest, I like the ones with more personality. Like, I like the breakdancing robots. I thought they were funny.
They were cool.
Yeah, because they're like stuck outside after they're going after Clementine.
Yes.
The cops are and the Sentinels are, and they're outside, and I'm trying to talk to them to get information, and they're just like, they just won't let us dance, and they're like, you can't stop us from dancing, man. And I'm like, these are my guys. All right,
Those guys are great. I
These
fucking
guys are
love those
awesome.
guys.
Yeah.
There were moments of personality that I was like, man, just give me one area more densely packed with this kind of personality.
Yes.
Maybe a day-night cycle that changes
That'd be
things,
interesting.
or like something where it doesn't feel like the developers are stretching themselves thin, trying to pack too many different areas with assets and personality and interactions. Just have them in one area. And I would have been fine staying in that first area if it were just a little bit bigger with a little bit more to do.
Well, no, and I agree with you. And the other one too is you got to give these robots more than one line. Like,
Yes.
they're not
Yeah.
spoken. You don't need to pay an actor. Like, just give them more than one text box.
Some of them do, some of them don't. The inconsistency of that bothered me.
Yes.
Where I didn't know if I was supposed to talk to someone more than once ever.
The problem is like, if they have a joke, they only say it once.
Yes.
And you're like, you could have had three things. Like,
Right.
because like I remember going to the bar and I talked to the guy playing pool and he's like, I tried to download an aimbot, but it gave me malware.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
that's good. And then every time he said that,
I
I'm
tried
like,
to download it. Yeah,
Seriously,
exactly.
like, really?
Exactly.
Like, there are parts of that where you're like, there could have been a little bit more, but
Hire a freelance writer for a week and
Yes.
just write a bunch of robot themed jokes that you just pepper around the city.
robot pool player. You're like, great. And then you write 10 cue cards
100%.
out and you're like,
that would have been good. I would have liked that. So
we're also for hire, just in case.
Yeah,
anyone wants.
If anyone in the Philippines wants us to write some jokes for them. So you open up the ceiling, the roof of the city, and this set piece was actually gorgeous to me.
Okay.
The light starts to come in. It casts a shadow as the
cool.
roof opens among the city down below. And it literally casts it in a new light. Now it's no longer all the dark and the neon and everything. You start to see it. As the sunlight comes in, you get a cutscene. All the Zerks are being just annihilated because we found out that UV light kills them. Also the Sentinels.
Yeah, don't make me think too hard at that one.
Yeah.
I don't, because the
Just the evil robots die?
Yeah, because our good robots don't die. They're
Yeah.
good. What's the difference between the two
I
things?
have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
They could have done that with like, hey, the Sentinels charge themselves with UV light, but too much of it. Like just something, I feel like a little bit of an information drop might have helped, but I don't know. The overall theme of like sunlight and light and clarity kills these things is a very tried and true thing. In
Light
these
kills
sorts of
dark,
things.
good
Right.
kills evil. Yeah, I agree with you. But you did get nice moments. I loved Momo looking up after holding the rail and you see his face, his screen,
Yes.
with bright light on it. And I was like, and he's smiling, and you're like, that's a nice shot.
Right, and Clementine is alive as well because she was being chased by the Sentinels, and she's alive. So turns out the sacrifices didn't actually mean anything, which is okay, I guess. Fine. You know what? I was happy Clementine was alive because I really liked Clementine.
Yeah,
but,
you had a crush on Clementine.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
She was a little too old for me though. She's what,
A few thousand years old?
Yeah, 100,000 years old or something like that. And then you just escape. You leave. You go out to the outside. And I felt like the ending was a little bit too much of an answer for everything.
I agree with you, except for one big thing.
Which is?
You don't get to see your fucking friends again? Are you out of your fucking mind?
Would you have liked that though?
I would have, because you take steps to the surface level as the cat. That's that's how the game ends. It's not you staring at the opening of the circle. You actually do walk up the sets of stairs to go, no, the cat does get free. Don't worry, Will Ferrell's free.
Sure.
But like, that's how, if you're going to start the game like that.
Yeah.
Hey, well, let's talk about the Odyssey again. You got to fucking end like that's called chaptering. That's called bookmarks here.
I mean, but that's also, you can never go home again. You know, it's the pining for home that you never get. Cause I think I would have thought it was way too heavy handed if somehow, like, cats are cats be cats. Why are those cats waiting around for you because you fell?
You're going to complain about this game being heavy-handed if they saw the other cats?
I'm saying I didn't need more heavy-handedness.
Oh, okay.
You know, like why? Because I thought the same thing as well. I was like, oh, I want to go see my cat buddies, but like they clearly were nowhere to be seen. Why would they? Where would they have waited?
Yes.
How would you have found them? You know, if they had a cut to like 8 months from now, and you just like see a trail of them over a hill or something, maybe that would make sense.
How about this? You walk to the top of the top step. See, once again, we're available for writing. Is that and you hear a distant meow.
Sure.
That's it.
I would have liked that better than what you do get, which is as you're walking out, the display panel flickers a little bit, which I don't know what that was supposed to
What
be.
does that mean?
Was that supposed to be that BlueTwelve was still alive? Like he still had some energy left in him.
I think, yeah.
But what? But why? That was so dumb.
I think they're holding a lot of weight. This is like a Jar Jar Binks thing where they go like, man, everyone's gonna love this fucking character.
It's gonna sell toys.
It's gonna be the best. And then we're like, we don't like that character. It's like, don't worry, he's coming back. I'm like, we don't care.
Yes.
I do feel, that's probably a part of it.
So we did ask a lot of questions to our listeners as well, and we'll get into reviews too. But before we move on from this final set piece, I'll ask you this, and it'll lead into one more question. When the roof opens up, first of all, I watched the whole process, and mechanically it looked like the big roof opening up. Mechanically, it looked believable, which is so cool.
That's cool.
I really like that.
Yeah.
At the end, B12 is dead, corpse on the ground. The sunlight shining in, and you can do what you could have done at a lot of other points in the game. Press X to just take a nap next to B12, and you curl up next to it. Did you do that?
Yeah.
Did you do that at many points in the game?
The nap thing?
The nap thing or the kneading?
I did. I couldn't help myself. I did. Yes.
Yeah.
I did. And honestly, sometimes it helped you in the game. Like you slept on that guy's chest at one point, and he helped you at some point.
No, I think he just kind of pet you a little bit.
Oh, that was really cute.
But that was,
that was cute.
It's fine.
You could sometimes scratch, and a key would fall out, or a drawer would open, or things like that.
It was what I liked is it was pretty obvious when kneading would do something and when it was just for fun.
Yeah.
So you're not spending too much time
That's
just
true.
doing everything. But I did find myself at those moments when you're supposed to just nap and like take in the scenery. The whole time I was like, you should just take a break. Just enjoy yourself here. Like, But it was never really enjoyable. It was just like, let's get going.
Yeah, let's move this along.
It takes a little bit too long.
Yeah.
That said, do you want to get into our reviews of this game? We said just about everything there is, and then we'll get into some of the listener questions and maybe skip 3 Cent 10 says to you.
Yeah, maybe we'll hold it for next
game
week.
because we're going to have some other listener interaction with this. By the way, tons of submissions for 3 Cent 10 says to you might guess the game. So if you're submitting and we're not getting to it week to week, we will eventually. Yes. We just have to make our way through everyone's submissions. So send your comments, your maybe some thoughts on Stray, and I'll read them in the next episode. Your questions about gaming in your older age, and your 3 Cent 10 says to you might guess the game submissions as well to the Retrograde Podcast at gmail.com. Before we do that, Andrew, we've talked a shit ton about this game.
Yes, we have.
Normally, as we mentioned, what we do is we rate and review the game based on our memories of the game when we were kids. We didn't play this game as a kid, and there's no sense rating it as though it were a retro game because it wasn't, and it would have blown our fucking minds if we played it in 1990.
Yeah, that would have been
7 out of 4.
I'm a cat.
What about your review, Andrew? Just a straight up review out of 4 bits. What did you think about this game?
So I enjoyed it as a concept. Like I said, I enjoyed it as kind of a proof of thing. I don't know if I ever had fun playing this game. I think I was interested. I think I was curious. Meow. But is that I don't know if I was ever like, oh fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
There were moments where you walk out into a vista of like a new town and you're like, whoa. Like I remember in the second town, I saw the hologram and I'm like, whoa.
Right.
Or the first town and I saw the height of how the buildings went up and the kind of light that you kind of came in on and you're like, this is cool. But after that, I think there are more successful puzzle games. I think there are more successful walking simulators.
Sure.
And I don't think it really does either of those moderately. Like, I think you just kind of split the difference and neither are totally successful. They are just fine. And I really do. And I don't want to like take too many shots because the atmosphere is awesome. The graphics are great. The music's really cool and atmospheric and only cuts in when it needs to.
Right.
And I think it's actually really effective, especially with some of like the more dramatic parts with the Zerks and stuff like that. But because it doesn't do anything specifically well and include action into that as well, the action's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's not like, oh, fuck yeah.
Sure.
I think it's a very successful, cool thing that I hope they continue to make. But I don't know if the first one is the one that we're always going to remember. I think I'm going to give it a 2.5.
Oh, wow.
I think I'm going to give it a 2.5. Like it's more than an average game. It's higher than a pass rate fail. Yep. I'm glad I played it, but I'm never going to go back and ever think about playing this game ever again. So yeah, I'm going to give it 2.5.
That's interesting. I think this game had much more of an impact on me than that. I understand what you're saying. I also don't think this game was ever fun for me.
Yeah.
It was never fun. But I think a game can very much benefit from fun, but I don't think a game has to be fun. And I was going to bring up a game like Gone Home or Firewatch or Edith Finch because those games aren't fun. But you make a good point. It isn't quite those games either. No. It is kind of this in-between point.
Yeah.
Where it gives you the feeling of being a cat without being a platformer, gives the sense of a walking sim and story and atmosphere without being as good as an Edith Finch and without having the depth of story of Edith Finch. Yeah. To me, though, Edith Finch is like a fucking 4. Firewatch is a 4. Like, those are great games. This was still a very good game. I do think you could have trimmed about an hour out of it, even though it's already a short game, maybe even 2, get it closer to the length of something like Edith Finch or Firewatch. But along the process, didn't have to take many notes, didn't have to try to remind myself of names because it all just felt like it fit. It just felt comfortable. Okay. I liked living in this world. I liked exploring it. I liked that cyberpunk element. And by the end of it, when the roof opens up and the sun comes in and Will Ferrell walks out of the walled city, I got goosebumps and I got a little bit emotional. Like, I didn't cry, but I felt like, oh, what a fucking journey we were on. That was good. In spite of all its cliches, it worked on me. I loved playing this game, didn't 100% it, don't intend to go back and 100%ing it, but it stuck with me, and I would recommend it to a lot of people, whether you're a seasoned gamer or just new to it. I'm giving this one a 3.5 out of 4.
3.5 out of 4. Okay, There we go. 3.5 and a 2.5. You got emotional at the end?
Not like,
like,
oh man!
Oh, thanks. Okay, those are good. Those are good visual cues. Yeah, like audio clues on how you felt. I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, that's all good. We both enjoyed the game, just 100%. on a different scale, on a little bit of a different level. Yeah. Like I said, though, we did put out some questions to the listeners, and we compiled a lot of that. I know we're going longer than I think we expected to go on this one, but I'm having some fun with it. Some comments on Twitter, some well thought out comments that we got. First of all, on Instagram, we had one from @MissMoneed. Comment: his little meow is the best. Meow at everything. Lure the Zerks out. Murder. Repeat. So we have some psychopath listeners. Yeah. Clearly.
Meow.
Meow. Zap.
Kill.
Yeah. I did. You know what? That was the strategy though. It was meow. Get them into a tunnel. Bam.
Yes. 100%.
Little Battle of Thermopylae kind of thing.
And it was. I would say the Battle of 300.
Oh, the Battle of 300.
Yes.
The Zack Snyder's 300.
The Zack Snyder's 300.
Yeah.
At DT Malone's on Twitter. It was great. Not replayable, I don't think, but it was fun for a 7-hour playthrough. About 7 hours. I think that's what it took me.
Yeah, I was just under that. Yeah.
And I agree. I think fun. Don't need to go back to. I think that feels more like a you review, sort of. Like, it was good. Never going to go back to it. It almost seems dismissive. At DT Mullins. By the way, check out his Instagram channel. He's got he's big into the Pokemon cards right now.
But he also does a little Twitch streaming and other things.
And all that. So check him out at DT Malones. That's Malones with a Z on Instagram as well. And now let's get into some more in-depth answers that we had on Twitter. We had at Roxas Your Boxus.
Oh boy.
Which is a very cool name. Thoughts. Nuances of the story being primarily told through a series of highly missable, quote unquote, memories means that a lot of questions will never get answered for the common player. I agree with that a little bit, but I also think that this is the kind of game that you can play without knowing everything about the story. Yeah. Similar to like a Dark Souls game.
Oh, interesting.
Where there is a lot of environmental storytelling. It's usually not as blatantly obvious as pick up a collectible that's hidden somewhere. But reading item descriptions and picking things up, I feel like this game tried to do like a Fisher-Price version of that.
I wish it was more mysterious. Like, I think it was trying to tell you stuff, and yet every once in a while you're like, oh, okay. All right, cool. True. I wish it was more in the dark, because then I'd be like, wait, what? What happened?
I think that the overall story of like how the walled city came to be, I like how that, I want to know that, but maybe have some more factions, maybe have some things that have developed culturally that are more of a mystery.
Yes.
That I think is the sign of like a more matured game, as opposed to just beating you on the head over just about the plot itself,
right?
The capital P plot. I want to know some of the more nuanced things there. The question from Roxas Your Boxes is, what do you believe the Zerks are? I think the game does kind of answer that question. Yeah. They're like garbage eaters that turn on. They're much like Andrew Bascom.
Yeah, I'm a real garbage eater.
Real garbage eater.
But I don't even know, is it, like, I will say it's mysterious enough that like humans or whatever, it might not even be Earth. So like, and that's like, they could be aliens for all we know, and that's kind of cool, but because I don't think it was like a human creation.
No, I think it was. I think it was. And here's the thing: is I think the reason I like the Zerks as the things that go crazy is usually the story of science fiction is that a technology in like a inorganic technology gets sentience and goes crazy. Well, this is an organic thing that was supposed to just be like almost like a bacteria that ends up getting sentience and kills everything and leaves only the robots alive. It's a little bit of a flip on its head from the typical sci-fi thing, so I kind of like that.
Yeah, okay. No, I get that.
A follow-up question, how do you feel about the ending? Zerk's dying from natural sunlight adds up, but Sentinel bots shutting down from the same source. Is our drone friend alive based on the twitch of electricity before the credits roll? Where do you see a sequel exploring? We already kind of gave our thoughts on what we think about the end.
Sequel, though.
Sequel would be interesting. Do we... Same cat, different cat? You know, like
do you go back to that world? Are they free now? Like,
it'd be tough. I honestly... This is the kind of thing that feels like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
I almost don't want a sequel.
No, I agree with you. I don't think we need a sequel. The only thing I would like to see out of this is that let us play as a cat again.
Let us play as a cat.
But
sure.
I think you figured out that part, maybe expand on it and make us, more agile and you can actually jump and do things and attack or something like that. But you don't have to use this story or this, setting.
Yeah.
You could do whatever you want. But I think a game as a cat again, I'm like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think indirect sequel, spiritual successor, that would work for me. Just tell a bunch of stories and let me experience them as a cat.
Yeah, Homeward Bound the video game.
Homeward Bound the video game. Our friend Aaron Omar at One More Omar on Twitter. Thoughts, I was not prepared for the level of quality and graphical fidelity present. This game is beautiful. Yep. It also respects the user's time. Right as I was thinking that I've had enough, the game ended. Very impressed with the studio. I'm also very impressed with the studio. I do think that more respect for our time could have been given if they sectioned off a little bit of that third city to prevent redundant exploration. Okay. But apart from that, I think, you can't make a game knowing what everyone is going to do with it.
No, totally. I agree with the graphic. Like I was also blown away with how good it looked. Like it's a really pretty game.
Yeah.
So like the graphic fidelity,
graphical fidelity is fantastic.
Unbelievable.
The game, it's crazy that a studio this small made a game that looks that good. Question, did you boys buy it outright or play it through PS Plus Extra? How many times do you think the meow button was used for fun? Did the falling/limping sequences punch you right in the feels? I legit had to hold back tears, cat owner here.
I am so
That's a
glad.
Great point, Aaron.
The twice that you had to limp, I was like, oh, don't do this to me.
I thought maybe you'd have to do it for like a longer time or something, but I did not want to see my cat limping. It hit me right in the feels. I agree with you, Aaron.
That one I was like, oh, they did it again. Because the first one, when he falls down initially to do the first big fall.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of, adorable and stuff like that. The second one, I'm like, oh, stop doing this.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I don't want to see hurt animals.
Yes.
I will, as Nathan Drake, mow down 1,000 paid mercenaries for hire.
Faceless,
but I will not want to see one cat limping.
No, exactly.
Thanks.
That's how you feel about dogs in games already. So yeah,
exactly. So some great questions there, and then our friend John Dulong. I haven't played Stray. I just want you to say my name on air. So here's my take on the game. I've never played. It's almost as good as LA Noire.
You know what, John? You're right. I don't know how you nailed it, but you nailed it. That was it. That's also my review too.
We're comparing this one to.
Yeah.
LA Noire.
Somehow
what do you think about Stray? Oh, is that the one that's like LA Noire, but you're a cat?
Yeah. The cat can't tell people lying. It's got face blindness or something like that. Somehow you threw in some Strays at Red Dead Redemption. So like we're all hitting our classic
our
hits
Rockstar.
Here.
Yeah, we're punching down on Rockstar. That's possible. Some great questions. Sorry we couldn't get to all of them. If you send it to us, we're just running a little bit low on time. But hit us up on our socials. You can find us at Retrograde Pod, where we'll pose some of these questions before recording some more episodes. At Retrograde Mikey, at Retrograde Andy, or at the Retrograde Podcast on Twitter, Instagram as well. And send your questions, comments, all that stuff to the Retrograde Podcast at gmail.com as well.
That was so much fun playing Stray, and we get to play some new games every once in a while. And so if you've got a new game that we think we should be playing, let us know at those socials that Mikey just gave out. But until then, we love every single one of you, and we can't wait to talk to you soon. My name is Andrew Bascom, and with me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Mikey Aaronworth.
This is a Retrograde podcast.
Game over.
Meow. I'm a cat.
Want more Retrograde in your life? You can visit our website for show notes at theretrogradepod.com. Follow us on Twitter at Retrograde Mikey, at Retrograde Andy, and the podcast at Retrograde Pod.
Or Instagram at The Retrograde Podcast.
For bonus episodes, check us out at patreon.com/The Retrograde Podcast.
Send your questions and business inquiries to The Retrograde Podcast at gmail.com.
See you next week, D-pads.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Meow, D-pads. That's good.
Oh, yeah, no.
Meow, that's good.
That's good.